I sat in the conference room on the 42nd floor, wearing the same charcoal suit I'd worn to my brother's funeral 3 years ago. The fabric pulled tight across my shoulders now. I'm 63 years old, and I'd spent the last 6 months watching everything I built crumble like sand through my fingers. My attorney, Rebecca Martinez, gripped my forearm hard enough to leave marks. "Thomas, for God's sake, don't do this. We can fight. We have grounds. The non-compete alone." "It's fine," I said. Across the mahogany table, Richard Ashford leaned back in his chair with the kind of smile that comes from 30 years of winning. His attorney, some kid fresh from Harvard with gel in his hair, shuffled papers with theatrical precision. Richard had been my business partner for 26 years. We'd built Ashford Brennan Engineering from nothing. 2 guys in a rented office in Newark, living on coffee and ambition. Now he wanted me gone. "Thomas," Rebecca whispered, her voice tight. "The company is worth $42 million. He's offering you $2 million and a non-compete that locks you out of the industry for 7 years. You're 63. That's essentially retirement. You built half of everything in that building downstairs." "I know what I built." Richard cleared his throat. "Thomas, I want you to know this isn't personal. The board feels, well, we all feel that the company needs younger leadership, fresh vision. You understand. And frankly, after what happened with the Riverside project, some distance might be good for everyone." "The Riverside project." He said it like it was my fault. Like I'd personally caused the foundation issues that set us back 8 months and cost us $3 million in overruns. Never mind that the geological survey his nephew had approved was garbage. Never mind that I'd flagged the concerns in writing. "The offer is generous," Richard continued. $2 million, your pension intact, and a consulting agreement if you want it. All you have to do is sign the separation agreement and the non-compete. Rebecca's pen jabbed at her legal pad. She'd made a list of everything wrong with the deal. I could see it from here. Non-compete too broad, valuation wrong, intellectual property claims. "There's someone else to consider," I said quietly. Rebecca blinked. "What?" "David Chen, my senior engineer. He's 29. He's brilliant. If I walk away without fighting, Richard is going to fire him next week." Richard's smile never wavered. "David's employment is a separate matter. He's the one who caught the Riverside problems. He's the one who saved our asses. And you're going to throw him under the bus because he's loyal to me. Thomas." Richard folded his hands on the table. The gold Rolex caught the light. "I'd given him that watch when we landed our first $1 million contract. David is a fine engineer, but he's not a culture fit. The company is moving in a new direction. He has a daughter with leukemia. Did you know that? She's 6 years old. His insurance comes through us. Through the company we built." Something flickered across Richard's face. Annoyance, maybe. Or just impatience. "That's unfortunate, but it's not relevant to this discussion." Rebecca put her hand on my arm again. "Thomas, we need to talk. Outside. Now." "No," I said. "I'll sign." "Thomas, I'll sign everything. The separation agreement, the non-compete, all of it. Just add one clause. David Chen keeps his job for at least 2 years, with his current salary and benefits guaranteed. Put it in writing." Richard exchanged a glance with his attorney. The kid shrugged. "We can add an employment guarantee for Mr. Chen. 2 years, current compensation, standard performance metrics." "No performance metrics," I said. "Guaranteed employment. You can fire him for cause, stealing, violence, whatever, but not for performance or culture fit or any of that corporate bullshit. 2 years, no matter what." Rebecca was writing furiously on her pad, underlining something 3 times. She held it up. "Don't do this." Richard drummed his fingers on the table. "Fine. 2 years for Chen. You sign everything else as written. Deal." "Thomas, please." Rebecca's voice cracked. "Draw it up," I told the Harvard kid. They had the amendment ready in 20 minutes. I read it twice. David's name, 2 years, guaranteed salary and benefits. The rest of it was exactly as bad as Rebecca had said. $2 million for my half of a $42 million company. A 7-year non-compete that barred me from working in civil engineering anywhere in the Northeast. No claim to any intellectual property. No royalties on the dozen patents I'd co-developed. I signed every page. Richard's smile stretched wider. I'm sorry it came to this, Thomas. But I think you'll find retirement suits you. Golf, travel, time with family, you've earned it. I slid the papers across the table. There's one more document. What document? I pulled a sealed envelope from my jacket pocket. Standard legal size, my attorney's firm name embossed in the corner. This needs to be filed with the company records. Corporate formality. My attorney will explain. Rebecca had gone very still beside me. She was staring at the envelope like it was a live grenade. Richard's attorney reached for it. What is this? It's a stock certificate, I said. From 1998. When we restructured the company, now I had Richard's full attention. His smile had frozen in place. We bought out all the minority shareholders in 2003. Not all of them. Rebecca cleared her throat. When she spoke, her voice was steady, professional. In 1998, when Ashford Brennan Engineering incorporated in Delaware, Mr. Brennan transferred 15% of his initial shares to his daughter, Jennifer Brennan, as part of an estate planning strategy. At the time, the company was worth approximately $400,000, so the gift tax implications were minimal. Richard leaned forward. There are no minority shareholders. I own 60%, Thomas owns 40%. That's it. You own 60% of the company, Rebecca continued. Thomas owned 40%, but 15% of Thomas's initial stake, which represents 6% of current equity, has been held in trust for his daughter for the past 28 years. The trust documents were filed with the Delaware Secretary of State. They're a matter of public record. Richard's attorney had opened the envelope. I watched the color drain from his face. Jesus Christ. The trust included specific provisions, Rebecca said. Jennifer Brennan, as trustee, has the right to approve or reject any sale of the company, any merger, or any dilution of equity. She also has the right to force a sale of her shares at fair market value if certain triggering events occur. What triggering events? Richard's voice had gone quiet. The forced resignation or termination of Thomas Brennan constitutes a triggering event. As of this moment, Jennifer has the right to demand that the company purchase her 6% stake at fair market value. That's approximately $2.5 million. Cash. Due within 90 days. Richard stood up so fast his chair rolled backward. This is bullshit, some kind of scam. It's not a scam, Mr. Ashford, Rebecca said calmly. The stock certificate is authentic. The trust documents are properly filed. You can verify everything with your own attorneys. In fact, I'd recommend you do so. 6%, Richard said. That's a minority stake. It's meaningless. Actually, it's quite meaningful. Jennifer's position as trustee also gives her certain inspection rights under Delaware law. She has the right to examine corporate books and records, including records related to the Riverside project, and the Geological Survey, and the billing practices for the past 5 years. I watched Richard's face. I'd known him for 26 years. I'd been in business meetings and poker games and hospital waiting rooms with this man. I knew when he was bluffing, and I knew when he was scared. He was scared. You're not going to find anything, he said. But his voice had lost its certainty. Maybe not, I said. But Jennifer is a corporate attorney at Morrison & Forster. She's very thorough. And she's very interested in understanding why her father is being forced out of a company he co-founded, especially after the Riverside project issues that somehow got blamed on him. The Harvard kid was reading the trust documents now, his finger tracing lines of text. He looked up at Richard. This is legitimate. The filing dates check out. The trust was established before the 2003 buyout. We missed it. How did we miss it? Richard's voice had risen half an octave. It was filed in Delaware. Our due diligence was focused on New Jersey corporate records, and the stake was small enough that the kid stopped. "Sir, we need to talk. Privately." Richard ignored him. He was staring at me. "What do you want, Thomas?" "I don't want anything. I already signed your papers. I'm retired, remember? Jennifer is the one with the stock. You'll have to negotiate with her." "Bullshit. This is you. You put her up to this." "Richard, I'm 63 years old, and I just signed away my life's work for $2 million. I'm going to go home and figure out how to tell my wife that I'm unemployed. What Jennifer does with her stock is her business." Rebecca was gathering papers, sliding them into her briefcase with quick, efficient movements. She was very good at hiding smiles, but I'd worked with her for 5 years. I knew that look. "Mr. Ashford," she said, "my client has fulfilled his obligations under the separation agreement. The non-compete is in effect as of today. Mr. Brennan will have his personal effects removed from the office by end of business Friday. If you need to contact him regarding company matters, please do so through my office." "Wait," Richard said. "Wait. Let's talk about this. Jennifer's stake, we can work something out. A buyout, a fair valuation. I'm sure Jennifer will consider any reasonable offer," Rebecca said. "You can reach her through her firm. Morrison and Forster. They're in the book." We were at the door when Richard said, "The Riverside Project. You knew. You knew about the survey problems before we broke ground." I turned back. "Yes, I did. I sent you 3 emails and 2 written memos. You told me your nephew had it under control. You told me I was being paranoid and risk-averse. You told me to trust the team. If I'd pushed harder, you would have overruled me anyway. You wanted to show the board that you could manage a major development without my input. So you managed it. And when it went wrong, you blamed me." His face had gone red. "You sabotaged it. You let it fail to make me look bad." "No, Richard. I tried to stop it from failing. You didn't listen. There's a difference." In the elevator, Rebecca let out a long breath. "That was the most satisfying 45 minutes of my career. I thought you were going to kill me when I said I'd sign. I was. I had a whole speech prepared about fiduciary duty and shareholder value and contract negotiation. And then you pulled out that envelope and I almost kissed you. You knew about Jennifer's stock? Not until yesterday. When you called me and asked me to research Delaware corporate filings from 1998. I almost didn't believe it when I found the trust documents." The elevator doors opened onto the lobby. The same lobby where Richard and I had stood together 26 years ago, looking at the directory board with our company name on it for the first time. We'd been so proud. 2 kids from Newark who'd made something real. "What happens now?" Rebecca asked. "Now Richard has 90 days to come up with $2.5 million in cash to buy Jennifer's shares. Or she can refuse to sell and maintain her position as a minority shareholder with inspection rights." "Can he raise the cash?" "Not without taking on debt. The company has assets, but most of it's tied up in equipment and projects. He'd have to liquidate something or find investors. Either way, it's going to hurt. And Jennifer? Jennifer is going to exercise her inspection rights. She's going to look at every contract, every billing record, every decision Richard has made for the past 5 years. And she's going to find things." Rebecca smiled. "What kind of things?" "The kind of things that happen when someone gets too comfortable. When they start thinking the rules don't apply to them. Billing irregularities. Kickbacks from subcontractors. Maybe some creative accounting on the Riverside Project to hide how bad the overruns really were. You think Richard's been stealing? I think Richard has been taking shortcuts. I think he's been making deals that benefit him personally. I think he's been putting his nephew and his golf buddies on the payroll, whether they're qualified or not. And I think when Jennifer starts looking at the books, it's going to be very uncomfortable for him." We walked out into the October afternoon. The air was crisp, smelling of car exhaust and roasted nuts from a street vendor. I'd walked out of this building every day for 26 years. Now I was walking out for the last time. My phone buzzed. A text from David Chen. "Just got called into HR. They told me my job is guaranteed for 2 years. Thank you. I don't know what you did, but thank you. I showed the message to Rebecca. You gave up $40 million to protect that kid's health insurance, she said. I gave up $20 million. Richard's offering me $2, remember? You know what I mean. David's daughter is 6 years old. Her name is Emma. She likes dinosaurs and Taylor Swift, in that order. She's been in and out of Children's Hospital for 18 months. David works 60-hour weeks and spends every evening at her bedside. He's 29 years old and he looks 50. If he loses his job, he loses his insurance. If he loses his insurance, he loses everything. And you couldn't let that happen. No, I couldn't. We reached my car, a 10-year-old Honda that Richard used to make jokes about. Why are you still driving that thing, Tom? We're millionaires. Buy yourself a BMW. Rebecca leaned against the passenger door. You want to know what I think? Always. I think you planned this. I think you knew Jennifer's stock was out there. I think you've been waiting for Richard to make his move so you could make yours. I unlocked the car. Rebecca, I'm a 63-year-old engineer. I build bridges and commercial buildings. I'm not that clever. Yes, you are. You knew Richard would try to force you out eventually. You knew he'd been taking shortcuts and making questionable deals. So you waited. You signed the separation agreement. You gave him what he wanted. And then you dropped the bomb. If I was that clever, I wouldn't have let him maneuver me into this position in the first place. Or maybe you let him think he maneuvered you. Maybe you wanted him to feel confident. Overconfident. Because confident people make mistakes. I opened the car door. You should have been a prosecutor. I was a prosecutor. For 8 years. That's how I know a setup when I see one. She pushed off from the car. Call me Monday. We need to coordinate with Jennifer about the inspection timeline. And Thomas, yeah? This isn't over. Richard is going to fight. He's going to hire expensive lawyers and try to find a way out. It's going to get ugly. I know. Are you ready for that? I thought about David's text message. I thought about Emma Chen in her hospital bed, clutching a stuffed stegosaurus. I thought about my wife, Margaret, who'd supported every decision I'd made for 40 years, even the stupid ones. I thought about Jennifer, my daughter, who'd grown up watching me try to be fair and honest and do the right thing, even when it cost me. Yeah, I said. I'm ready. That was 3 months ago. Last week, Jennifer's attorneys filed a formal request to inspect Ashford Engineering's corporate records. That's what the company is called now. Richard dropped my name from the letterhead the day after I left. Yesterday, David Chen sent me another text. Emma finished her latest round of treatment. The doctors are cautiously optimistic. She's home now, back in school, telling her friends about how she's going to be a paleontologist when she grows up. This morning, Rebecca called. You're going to want to sit down for this. I was in my kitchen, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper like I was 70 instead of 63. Retirement wasn't what I'd expected. It was quieter, slower. I'd started volunteering at a literacy program. I'd fixed the back steps. I'd read 3 books. What happened? Jennifer's team found the discrepancies. Richard's been billing phantom consulting fees to projects for years, probably close to $4 million over the past decade. He routed the payments through an LLC that his brother-in-law controls. I set down my coffee. $4 million. That's just what they found in the first pass. There's more. Kickback arrangements with suppliers, overbilling on materials. He set up the Riverside project to fail, Thomas. He approved a bad survey because the surveying company was paying him under the table. He needed someone to blame, so he blamed you. My hand was shaking. Not from anger, from something else. Vindication, maybe. Or just exhaustion. The board met in emergency session last night, Rebecca continued. They've asked Richard to resign. If he refuses, they'll terminate him for cause. Either way, he's out. And because it's termination for cause, his separation package is voided. No golden parachute, no consulting fees, nothing. What about the company? The board wants to know if you'd consider coming back as CEO. They're offering full equity restoration, your original 40%, plus stock options. They'll void the non-compete. Clean slate. I looked out the kitchen window. Margaret was in the garden, pruning the roses. She'd been so angry when I told her what I'd done. Not angry that I'd given up the money. Angry that I'd let Richard push me around for so long. "You're worth 10 of him," she'd said. "And you let him treat you like an employee. Thomas, you still there? I'm here. Tell the board thank you." But no. Silence on the line. Then, "No, I'm 63, Rebecca. I just got out. I'm not going back. But the company, everything you built, is going to be fine. They've got good people. David Chen is one of the best young engineers I've ever worked with. Promote him. Give him my seat on the board. Let him help rebuild. What about you? I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm going to help my wife with the garden. And then I'm going to call Jennifer and tell her I'm proud of her. Thomas, Rebecca, I spent 26 years building that company. I spent the last 10 watching it turn into something I didn't recognize. I don't want it back. I want my mornings. I want time with my wife. I want to volunteer at the library and fix my house and read books that have nothing to do with load-bearing calculations. You're sure? I'm sure. After I hung up, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time. The newspaper was open to the business section. There was an article about engineering firms in the Northeast, about growth and consolidation and market trends. The kind of article I would have studied 5 years ago, looking for opportunities. I folded it closed. Margaret came in from the garden, dirt on her knees, secateurs in her hand. Was that Rebecca? Yeah. And? Richard's out. They offered me my job back. She studied my face. What did you say? I said no. She set down the secateurs and crossed the kitchen. Her hands were cold from the garden when she took mine. Are you okay? I think so. Yeah. I think I'm okay. Good. She kissed my forehead. Because I was starting to enjoy having you around. That afternoon, I called Jennifer. She picked up on the second ring. Dad, I was just about to call you. Your mother told me. About the board meeting. It's bigger than we thought, Dad. Richard wasn't just cutting corners. He was systematically looting the company. It's going to take months to untangle everything. The board asked me to come back. I know. I told them they should. You built that place, Dad. It should be yours. I turned them down. Silence. Then, why? Because it's not mine anymore. Maybe it never was. It was just something I poured myself into for 26 years. But I'm not that thing. I'm not defined by it. Dad, are you having a midlife crisis? Because you're 63. That's more of a late-life crisis. I laughed. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think I'm just tired, Jenny. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of proving myself. I'm tired of building things for other people to tear down. So, what are you going to do? I'm going to live my life. I'm going to spend time with your mother. I'm going to see you and the grandkids more. I'm going to figure out who I am when I'm not Chief Engineer Thomas Brennan. You're my dad, she said quietly. That's who you are, and you're the guy who gave up millions of dollars to protect some kid's health insurance. That's who you are, too. That kid has a name. David Chen, and he's not just some kid. He's the future of whatever that company becomes. They're going to offer him your board seat. I told them to. Good. Dad, I'm proud of you. Not for the company stuff, for walking away, for choosing yourself for once. After we hung up, I went back outside. Margaret had moved to the front yard, working on the flower beds by the mailbox. I knelt down beside her and started pulling weeds. You know what I realized? I said. What? I spent 26 years trying to build something permanent, something that would last, a legacy, I guess. But that's not how it works. Nothing's permanent. Companies change. People change. The only thing that lasts is what you do for other people when nobody's watching. Margaret sat back on her heels. That's very profound. Did you read that in one of your new books? No, I just made it up. Well, it's good. You should write it down. Maybe I will. We worked in silence for a while, pulling weeds and turning soil. The sun was warm on my back. Somewhere down the street, kids were playing basketball. A dog barked. Normal sounds. Ordinary sounds. I thought about Richard, probably sitting in his lawyer's office right now, trying to figure out how to fight the board's decision. I thought about David Chen, picking up his daughter from school. I thought about all the choices we make every day, about who we want to be. Margaret? I said. Thank you for not leaving me when I told you what I'd done. With the company, she looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Leave you? Thomas, you gave up money to protect a sick child. Why would I leave you for that? I gave up our retirement. Our security. We have plenty of money. We have the house. We have our pensions. We don't need $40 million. We never did. She touched my cheek. You did the right thing. You always do the right thing. That's why I married you. Even when the right thing is expensive? Especially then. The expensive choices are the ones that matter. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about something Rebecca had asked me. Are you ready for this? The truth was, I didn't know if I was ready. I didn't know if I'd done the right thing. I'd given up a fortune. I'd burned bridges. I'd made enemies, all to protect one kid and his daughter. But then I thought about Emma Chen, back in school, telling her friends about dinosaurs. I thought about David, able to focus on his daughter instead of worrying about insurance. I thought about Jennifer, learning that sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what matters. And I realized something. I'd spent my whole life building things. Bridges and buildings and companies. Things that could be measured and valued and bought and sold. But the things that really mattered couldn't be measured, couldn't be bought, couldn't be put on a balance sheet. They were just choices. Small choices. Everyday choices. The choice to protect someone weaker. The choice to do right even when it costs you. The choice to walk away from a fight you could win, because winning isn't always the same as being right. I'm 63 years old. I don't have a job anymore. I don't have a company with my name on it. I don't have millions in the bank. But I have something Richard will never have. I can look at myself in the mirror. I can sleep at night. I can tell my grandchildren stories about their grandfather and not feel like I'm lying. That's worth more than $40 million. That's worth everything.